improvement and decline in vision with gene therapy. Disease in question affect the retina and specifically the photosensitive cells that capture light thanks to retinol. Application. Application of gene therapy in a peculiar inherited blindness has improved the vision of several patients. In the eyes of patients, researchers injected a common cold virus in order to develop a healthy version of the damaged gene that causes the disease. They applied it only one of his eyes to compare the vision after applying the treatment.
Gene therapy has a particularly successful record in treating immune diseases and blood cancers, but research is ongoing with small studies and preliminary results. In a recent study to confirm a new surgical procedure's safety in treating a type of blinding disease, patients reported quick and lasting vision improvement. In gene therapy, doctors inject new genes so that cells hopefully will use them to prevent further degeneration caused by mutated genes. For this study, all 6 patients aged 35 to 63 have a genetic disease called choroideremia, which gradually blinds them from childhood. Doctors inject a working gene just under the eye's retina via a virus. Not only was there no eye damage, but all 6 patients reported improvements 6 months later. 4 of them had increased light sensitivity, while 2 saw significant changes in reading, adding 2 to 4 lines on an eye chart. Some months after the procedure, 43-year-old Wayne Thompson said he saw stars for the first time in years. Doctors are optimistic about further research into higher dose therapies and the potential to prevent blindness due to choroideremia and other retinal diseases.
Although it was not the main object of the test, patients noticed that they could see better, according to said researchers at a meeting of ophthalmologists. Doctors did not expect to achieve great benefit since the patients were adults, already had a severe degree of vision loss, and only received a small dose of treatment. This is an important result for the entire field of gene therapy, as interpreted the former president of the American Association of Gene Therapy. We are quite convinced that once we can do this with younger children, we will be able to retain the damage, explaining the targeted genetic chief executive Stewart Parker. If all goes as planned, the healthy genes will begin its work and function of the light-sensitive cells are restored. The researchers have an advantage. The treatment was applied in previous study with dogs, with very satisfactory results.
Science.
Restoring sight to people suffering from a rare kind of eye disease. Researchers at Oxford University have just published the results of a trial which suggests that tinkering with people's genes can stop choroideremia from causing blindness. The aim of the new therapy is to replace a defective gene with a healthy one. The defective gene causes the pigment cells in the retina to stop working and eventually die. As the disease progresses, the retina begins to shrink, leading to blindness. The operation involves detaching the patient's retina and injecting a virus containing the healthy gene.
The choroideremia gene is important for making a protein known as REP1. And when that protein is deficient in the retina, the cells gradually die throughout life, and they die from the outside in. So patients develop tunnel vision that gets narrower and narrower, and then eventually it goes. The concept of gene therapy is to put that protein back into those cells by using the virus to carry the missing gene.
Researchers have treated 9 patients so far. It's estimated that the disease affects 1 in 50,000 people. Doctors hope the procedure could eventually be used as a therapy for retinitis pigmentosa, a far more common eye disease which affects hundreds of thousands of people in the world. These 2 patients say they are delighted with the results.
As a result of the trial, there is very real and tangible hope that I will continue to be able to see. And that is just a massive advance and has actually made a significant difference to the way I approach my life now.
I can now read an iPad without having it magnified, which is amazing.
According to researchers, while it's too soon to say if the benefits of the gene therapy will last, the improvement in the eyesight of the patients who took part in the trial has remained unchanged for 2 years without any side effects. Better understanding what is causing the collapse of bee colonies around the world. Scientists in Australia are fitting thousands of honeybees with tiny sensors as part of a project that will track the movements and habits of several generations of bees. The aim is to shed light on the causes of the condition known as colony collapse disorder, which has led to more than 10 million beehives being wiped out worldwide in the past 6 years.
So bees are very sensitive to heat, so we bring them to the lab, we chill them down, then we attach the sensors while they're sleeping. So this is just like carrying a little backpack.
The bees are placed in a fridge, which sends them to sleep. The sensors are then carefully placed onto their backs before they're returned to the hive. About a third of the food regularly eaten by humans requires pollination. It's hoped the sensors will provide farmers and fruit growers with an insight into bee behavior, the impact of pesticides, and what conditions are best for productivity.
For the first time, we'll actually know where they do go. Because in the past we see a white box and then we see bees entering and leaving, but what they do in the meantime, we've no idea.
The next stage of the project is to build smaller sensors, which could be attached to insects such as fruit flies and mosquitoes.
NVSO.
2 years ago, Jonathan Wyatt was going to go blind.
That's a fantastic improvement, because when you first did this test you couldn't see any of these lines at all.
Then I can go down again. I think there's a Z, K, a B and an O.
But thanks to a genetic therapy by his doctor, Professor Robert McLaren, his sight has improved.
I had come to the edge of the abyss, looked down at total blackness, and Professor McLaren had tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Come this way. It's possible to see again."
In 2011, BBC News reported on Professor McLaren's pioneering operation on Jonathan. In a delicate procedure, he injected DNA into his eye. So how does the gene therapy work? Let's have a look inside the human eye. Right at the back are cells that detect light and enable us to see. In Jonathan's case, because of a faulty gene, cells at the back of his eye have been dying, leaving only the ones in the middle. Doctors have managed to stop these from dying by injecting new, working copies of the faulty gene. Not only that, the genes have revitalised some of the cells that had stopped working, and so the treatment has actually improved his vision. Jonathan has a very rare form of blindness. More common forms, such as age-related blindness, which affects millions of people worldwide, involves many genes and will be more complex to cure with gene therapy. But Professor McLaren believes it will be possible.
We are very, very excited. We're very much at the threshold of a new treatment, which I believe will come in for many, many other types of retinal disease. We are, of course, delighted with the results in Jonathan. To have an improvement in vision, sustained as long as we've been monitoring in the trial, is the best possible result we could have hoped for.
Younger sufferers, such as Wayne Thompson, who still have moderate vision, have most to gain from gene therapy. When he was first diagnosed, doctors told him he wouldn't see his daughter grow up. Now, following the treatment, he hopes to see his grandchildren. Pallav Ghosh, BBC News.